when we bring thousands of people together to pray the Rosary in public, to ask the intercession and protection of our Blessed Mother, only graces will come about from that.
Hey, I'm Father Mark Mary.
And I'm Father Joseph Anthony Kress.
I am a Franciscan friar of the Renewal.
And I'm a Dominican friar of the province of St. Joseph.
All right, so Father Joseph Anthony, there's a lot of talk, particularly this year, about pilgrimage. And I just didn't really grow up with it. And so part of like the nature of pilgrimage is it's something different than vacation.
Yeah.
And often maybe a little bit more sacrificial, not as comfortable. Why pilgrimage? What's the history? What's some of the spirituality of pilgrimage in general?
If you go to Europe, there's a big culture of pilgrimages. You know, you look at the Camino or pilgrimages throughout Europe, and there's these local pilgrimages, especially like in Poland, everybody pilgrimages to Częstochowa or things like that. So in Europe, it's much more kind of common culture, common experience. In the United States, it's just not. We just don't have that kind of history, and we don't have that culture of pilgrimage. And so it can be a little foreign to us as Americans, even American Catholics. I think one of the real big distinctions to make with pilgrimage is to make sure that it doesn't slip into spiritual tourism. You know, I think that's a category that does exist. And honestly, at times it makes sense. It's not a bad category. But a pilgrimage is about, embracing the journey. Because that pilgrimage, which is kind of a truncated or maybe microcosm of something larger. The microcosm is that I'm going to kind of go on this pilgrimage, carry just what I need, and I'm going to a location to experience the life in maybe honor, reverence, or devotion to a certain saint. But the pilgrimage is not so much about the destination, it's more about that journey towards it, you know. So the Camino de Santiago, very famous one, majority of people they'll spend 14, 20, 30 days on the journey in maybe 24, 48 hours at the destination. And I think the same thing is when we do a pilgrimage to Rome. Yes, we get to Rome, we spend 7 days there, but we're going from church to church to church. And so it keeps us focused on this reality that maybe we should kind of strip down our life and not be so attached to the superfluous, recognizing the essentials that we need to survive on a day-to-day, but also to not be afraid of the growth that happens in process, like in progress, in the journey, and not just so be focused on the destination that we are blind to what's happening along the way.
And we as the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, we have like pilgrimage language very much in our sort of rule and constitution and worldview. I think one of the fruits of like an actual pilgrimage is just that like that reminder, like you kind of said, of the dignity of the journey itself. Yeah. Like Jesus isn't just the Alpha and the Omega, he's also the way. And there was a way in which like as life is happening, I can experience it at least, like I want to be at my place. I want to have the task done. I want to be finished. I want to have the growth or the achievement or whatever it is. But sometimes forgetting of like, again, sort of the dignity and the sanctification being offered through the journey and through the process itself. And I do think that part of pilgrimage, properly kind of done and prayed with, is again, sort of like, it can remind us and can help us kind of go about life with this kind of this pilgrimage worldview. So certainly, again, something that people are talking about a lot is making a pilgrimage to Rome and going through the holy doors, etc. For a lot of people, realistically, that's maybe not feasible, either financially or schedule-wise. You can kind of look it up. There's ways in which you can make like local pilgrimages to some holy doors that like maybe like your local cathedral, etc. Something like that has happened. But also Father Joseph Anthony and some of his work with the Rosary has another pilgrimage that's going to be happening that might be worth checking out.
We have this Dominican Rosary Pilgrimage, is what we call it, in Washington, D.C., the last Saturday of September. And we're very much inspired by some of our kind of European Dominican friars and this kind of concept of maybe we should introduce local pilgrimage. You know, this concept of reminding ourselves that we are pilgrims on the way, and many of us can't get to Europe or do kind of multi-continental pilgrimages, but we can bring that kind of into a local experience. We really wanted to bring a pilgrimage in that way, but focused on the devotion to the Rosary, that as a certain patrimony of our Dominican life, but knowing that when we bring thousands of people together to pray the Rosary in public, to ask the intercession and protection of our Blessed Mother as a body in a large way, that only graces will come about from that. And so the last Saturday of September in Washington, D.C. at the Basilica there, we're going to host the Dominican Rosary Pilgrimage. And yes, it's kind of 12 hours all on one site, but we do kind of go in journey through the Basilica. We have preaching, we have all the sacraments. We pray 15 decades of the Rosary in procession through the Basilica, reminding ourselves that we're on this journey together. And it's an amazing time to come together as the people of God underneath the protection of Our Lady. But at the end, it's also about joy. And I think that's a great aspect of the Rosary. It brings hope and it brings joy. And so some of our brothers have a band, the Hillbilly Thomas, which you may or may not have heard of. They're having a big concert to have us culminate in celebration and joy with each other. We're excited for that, and we want to invite you to kind of engage and join in us. If you're able to make it to DC, please do that. We also have live stream options if you're not able to physically be there, to still kind of make that pilgrimage of the soul in the great opportunities that we have in kind of our present day, that we can make these pilgrimages even at a distance. But being on that journey with Our Lady is really, really important for us, and we want to invite you to check it out and to join us in DC.
I've seen some of little clips from some of the talks, some of the preaching over from previous pilgrimages, and you guys have got a bunch of rock stars. you guys got a bunch of really great, and it's it's not surprising that Dominicans are phenomenal at preaching and preaching about the Rosary.
So we have preaching on the Rosary in English and Spanish. So don't let language be a barrier as well. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that they can come. It's free of charge. You just show up on the day of. Yeah. That's it. That's all we ask, is that you show up.
All right. So hopefully some of y'all are able to join it, and you'll be there.
Oh, I'll be there.
Joseph Anthony will be there. A lot of the Dominicans you've come to know will be there. It's good stuff and a huge source of grace and opportunity for each of us individually and for the church in the U.S. and universal. So hopefully you're able to make a little pilgrimage. As we always say, remember friends, we are pilgrims on this earth. Somos peregrinos, poco a poco, little by little. Vamos a llegar. We're going to make it. See y'all.